Welcome back, everybody. Our soundtrack is being provided today by Rita Hope,
executive producer.
Cheers. You can keep playing. Oh, she's like, we're talking, and she's really quiet. Well, let's start with our joke today.
Our joke today. Why did the pilot decide to retire?
At the end of the show. Welcome back, everybody. So today's episode number 4. Brought to you once again by the Uncanny Catholic, Bonsai Catholic, all that stuff will be in the description. So go check that out.
The choice of a new generation.
Try that again.
Sainthood, the choice of a new generation.
I thought you said a choice of a June generation.
June?
June's a nice month. I like June.
Yeah.
So
that'll work.
Today's topic.
We have lots of topics.
But
first of all, I want to talk about this painting. How cool is it? Can you see that? It's a lot of blue, but you'll have to look at it really well. You can see Mary. From the previous episodes, we had another painting up, but Willie decided to make one of his own. And so this is
I didn't decide to hang it up, though.
No, I hung it up because I'm proud of it. So this is a Willie original. This is Mary with a blue... Mantle, sorry. A Mary with a blue mantle and a crown. And then this is Jesus with his red mantle and crown. And we talked about that in a previous episode. The divinity and the humanity.
I don't know if it made it into that episode.
Oh, you don't know if it made it into the episode?
I can talk about those
go
colors.
ahead, talk
about it.
No,
go ahead. You talk about the colors.
No, I'd like you to.
I feel really weird talking about my own painting.
Well, this is your painting, so you put the colors in for a reason.
Go ahead.
You put the colors in for certain
those reasons. So go ahead. I want to hear you talk about it because I wasn't expecting this. And like I said, I feel weird talking about my own painting.
Well, you chose red because it symbolizes the humanity, the color of
Our doggy got a bath. Our daughter is using Rachel's cup, so we're going to be sharing our germs today.
Yay.
She's giving her toys a bath.
Yes.
So she's still providing her soundtrack. So we're talking about the picture and the colors of the picture. We talked about in a previous episode the image that was up before, kind of mentioned it. Again, I don't want to talk about my own painting. So if you want to talk about the colors are fine. You can talk about the colors. It's very specific to sacred art, I think. I tried to be as loyal to that as possible.
Okay, so what I see and what I've heard him explain off camera is that the humanity is represented by the red because we bleed. Divinity is represented with the blue because it's the stars in the heavens and things that come down to us. And so Mary is wrapped in divinity but clothed in humanity, and Jesus is clothed in divinity and wrapped in humanity. And then he also explained that the mantle turns into the waterfall, and then these are mountains in the background.
Yeah. And a few other things in there, but you'll have to come visit to get the full details. I'll give you one, like the dark area here. That's kind of where we live. You know, we live in the world, but we are heavenly people. So that dark area, that's your choice. So when you look at that, that's kind of where I look at it. There's nothing there, and that's because it's for you to be safe and it's for you to move forward, and it's a starting point. It's not an end point.
So that's our journey.
Yeah, there's your journey. There's mountains. There's water. There's hope.
And some stars along the way.
Yeah. And so you see some images kind of going back and forth. I can talk about it all day. So
I'd love it.
But in person. I don't want to talk about it on the camera. But I think we may just donate it. If you just get some thumbs up, we'll donate it. Because I'd like to paint more, but I'm kind of one of those people, if there's paintings around, I don't want to just keep painting. So I'd love to gift it to someone. So.
All right. So, as most of you have known in the circle that I tread in, that Auxiliary Bishop Dave O'Connell was tragically shot a couple weeks ago. And a lot of stuff in my circle has been coming around about him. And every time I read something about him, I just get more and more inspired. And one of the things that he was quoted on was from a friend of ours that we knew a long time ago from NCYC. And he was at a meeting with Bishop O'Connell one day, and they were talking, and he actually pulled a quote from O'Connell, and I wanted to pull this and share it with you and talk about it. There really isn't too much to talk about because it's kind of an amen point.
Yeah, so I want to just do that as our prayer today, because it's probably a knowing him. So
That's true.
yeah, in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Bishop O'Connell, remembering having said, too often we are limiting the power of the Holy Spirit and acting as though we are in charge of deciding who will receive God's love and mercy. We are like people who are selling water while standing next to a river. Amen.
Amen. So that should go without saying.
It should go without saying, but we can talk about it as ministers
because that's what we do.
It's because it's really easy to feel that way. Like, we're sitting here getting all of these graces and all of this love and all this stuff is pouring forward to us, and we're like, here you go. Yep. Here you go. You can have this little bit of information and this little tidbit of knowledge about God, but if you just turn right there, you can you can get it yourself.
I look at it so much like, simulation theory, because, we like to talk about some of that stuff. But if you buy into the simulation theory that there's this great programmer, which I don't know how that's different than having this great creator, so loosely connected, wouldn't it make sense that the church is the language? We have a computer language. It's either binary or it's DOS or it's whatever that language is. And there's so many more now. Those are old languages, but
aging yourself.
It starts with the binary and it moves on to all these other languages. And I'm trying to communicate with Jeremiah is the idea that those prayers are those patches. When you go to church on Sunday, you're patching that bug update. You constantly get bug updates on your phone, and people will push those updates right away. But you forget to keep your own soul in order. And so if you are a computer person, and kind of think of it that way, God is the great programmer. And how do we communicate with the programmer if not through code? And he's given us the code. He gives us the perfect code. And, Peter asked, how do we pray? After spending all that time with him, how do we pray? That's another story. But we have the code. The code's there.
Yeah.
And we can share our faith with you here on the screen. And like Rachel's saying, I get to see, you just peek right there, we get to see this church, and the Eucharist is in there, and Jesus is in there waiting for us. Mm-hmm. And this is so not important, because that's the reason we really want you to worship with us. We don't want you to watch this. I mean, this is an avenue to invite you to come worship with us. Mm-hmm. And if you live in a different state or a different country, guess what? You can still worship with us. That's what I love. And because we're selling water, that's the river.
Yeah.
The river's right over there.
It's not hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
It's about turning open inward to yourself. But in order to do that, there's a lot of steps that have to happen. Mm-hmm. And the first is you have to get rid of what you think is okay, what you think is good. Because what you think is good and loving and okay is rotting from the inside.
Sometimes a space that's not lived in will rot. Mm-hmm. Just living in a space will cause that space to stay alive. If you park a car in the driveway and you walk out to it every day or every few days and start the car, drive it around, it will start every time you walk out to it. But if you just leave the car out there, the battery's going to die, it won't start. The fuel is going to corrode, the wires are going to get eaten, squirrels are going to crawl into it, cats are going to have kittens in it.
Yep.
Things are going to happen to that car. And we spend so much time taking care of those things, our cars, our phones, our houses, and then forget about the soul, which is the most important thing, because when it's all said and done and you can't chase that other stuff, your soul's still there.
Yeah. It's there's a whole bunch of analogies. You can talk about filling your cup, how many spoons you have, all these other
I don't get that spoon thing.
Yeah. So you start with a certain amount of spoons each day. And when you give a person a spoon, you don't have that spoon anymore. So at the end of the day, are you out of spoons? How are you going to eat? How are you going to feed yourself?
As a parent, what do you do about kids just taking your spoons? Because we have no spoons. They're just everywhere.
That's true. Yeah, our spoons are all over the place. We find them in the sand.
I found a spoon in the yard yesterday. I was like, yeah, score a spoon.
Yeah. Sometimes our spoons get thrown in the sand and forgotten for months. But we have to pick them back up.
Absolutely.
We have to pick them back up at the end of the day and wash them and put them back in the drawer for the next day. And one of the ways that we could do that is through an examine each night. We do that as earthquakes happen.
They actually don't look so bad on the cameras.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay. Yeah. Stabilize. No.
Don't see it.
No.
Don't see it. If you back up, you'll see earthquake Rita trying to get my water.
Yeah, earthquake Rita. Anyways, we do that with an examine at night.
That's broken. Just a second. And just a broken cup. We will have
Don't leave that there.
Yeah, we will have cups available in our merch store. Really soon.
We're gonna have. Anyways, spoons. Okay, so we're saying, when they go into the sand, because our 7-year-old just throws it out there and forgets about it, we have to go back out at night and pick them up and clean them off and set them in our drawers for the next morning. Yep. One of the ways we can do that is through an examine, and we do that in the Catholic Church. It can be as deep as an Ignatian examination. It could be as simple as where did I see God today? And then how did I love God today?
Father said something really cool today. I want to remember. Father Paul. What was it he said today?
He said a lot today.
He said a lot today, but he said one to just kind of rock me back on my heels.
Okay. Father Paul is one of the monks that's here who doesn't look like... He's a very unsuspecting kind of a man, and one of those things where you dig deeper and deeper and deeper and just find well springs of information and love and wealth about this man. But he's a PhD in child development and
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. But he's reopening Camp Benedictine, and it's been closed during COVID. And so it's coming back open, and he's really excited about it. So he got to talk with us for a little while.
Yeah, we'll do. He said something today, though, that was fake. Like, it was just like, oh, man, you guys need to come out. Again, just reiterate the wisdom and the love from these men out here that devote their lives to God. And if you're missing spoons... People donate spoons to these guys all the time. They've got a lot of spoons to hand out.
A lot of love to hand out.
Lots of love.
And wisdom. And I think he was inspired today because Rita was particularly rambunctious during Mass and loud.
Here's a hack, though. If your kid's loud at our church, if you come to the Abbey, go into the confessional and you get to hear better. So it's the best place to go to the homily. Go for the homily, listen to the homily, and then come back out. So... What else are we talking about today? Boom, 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 boom. I think we should do the heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of, that goes into the TikTok nation. TikTok brainwashing.
So, full disclosure here, Rachel doesn't own a TikTok.
I have a TikTok.
Yeah.
I haven't
He does.
looked at the TikTok in a long time because the TikTok is this mechanism that can sure get you... out of the world really fast. Like, it will put you into another universe. And most things do that. So anything you like. Anything that triggers that dopamine
effect, yep.
Yeah, and internet does that. Yep. YouTube videos do that.
Yep.
So we're out
We're
here.
A dopamine push for you right now.
We're trying to be anyway.
Yes.
So the idea of watching TikTok and being TikToked
TikTok
like
abused.
Yeah, TikTok abused is that idea of being reprogrammed. And you can be reprogrammed to do anything you want. As churchgoers, as Christ followers, we are programming ourselves to love God.
Yes.
That's it.
We chose to.
We chose to. With TikTok, you are being programmed, but you're being programmed by someone else. And they're choosing. You're being programmed by someone else, and they're choosing what to put in that brain of yours. All right. So, are you being programmed to love your children? Or are you being programmed to pretend that you care about everybody as long as they agree with you? Or are you being programmed to love people more? What are you being programmed to do? So we choose what we put into our minds. We choose what we put into our bellies.
Yep.
Why would we not be careful about
What's in our spirit?
What's in our spirit?
And that's our eyes, what our eyes are seeing. And
And as a parent, we have to think about internet safety and where, because your kids are going to see TikTok whether you like it or not. If they go on YouTube, you're going to see other creators posting TikTok videos. If you go to any of those sites, they're going to pop up, and it's impossible to keep the kids away from it. So what do we need to do to keep our kids safe? So
what do we need to do?
Well, we're going to get her situated, and then we're going to come back and talk about internet safety. If it doesn't make the edit, Rita broke the other cup. So we'll have new cups next time.
Yeah.
To you.
To me.
To you.
To me.
Roblox.
So there's a lot of scary stuff out there. A lot of really scary stuff. And your kids are only going to grow older, and there's only going to be more. But right now, our kids are into this game called Roblox. And it's an open platform. You talk to anybody, any age, unrestricted, and anybody can lie about being any age. You can have an 8-year-old lying about being a 50-year-old, which I hope they do, and then you have it happening the other way, which I hope they don't.
Yeah. I think I understood you, but go ahead.
I mean, the 50-year-old pretending to be the 8-year-old.
That's creepy.
Yeah.
So I will say.
So let's talk about that.
Well, I set up an account so I could. It's easy when you have an autistic kid and they're playing Roblox.
It's easy.
It's easier to log in and find them in their world and say, "Hey, dude, time for dinner."
Instead of.
Yeah. So
because I could do that.
So there's tip number one, because as soon as you pop up, he sees it. He's like, "Oh, dad's in here."
Yeah.
So I get to be in his world all of a sudden. So instead of me stopping him, he's like, "Oh, dad's coming to get me." And I guess that'd be the equivalent of actually going out to the yard to getting someone, getting them instead of like yelling for them. And a lot of people are used to their parents yelling for them. I mean, that's the way it was when I was growing up. Every mom on the street was yelling their kid's name.
My mom didn't have to yell because the neighbor kid's mom had to whistle.
There you go.
She went like this.
That's awesome. So go ahead. You were talking about the people that are on there. Well, what I was saying is, I said, "Hey, buddy, I love you," and it flagged it. And it said, "This is inappropriate language." Like, so it caught that. That's kind of nice.
Good.
The problem is like, I'm not a creepy dude.
Yeah.
Which means like the creepy people know what to say and what they can't say.
Because they've already been told.
Right. So the fact that that's there tells me that there's a reason that that's there.
There's a reason.
So they know the grooming's happening. They know that abduction is happening. That's why it's so important that this is probably the most important thing that we're going to talk about as far as internet. So definitely pass it to you. What are some of the things that you have done to keep our kids safer?
Okay.
In our life?
Well, I mean, I'm constantly learning and I'm open to suggestions and discussions about this. Another invitation for anybody who wants to come on the show.
Oh yeah, someone who's got a lot of experience with this.
Yes. But one of the things that I do is we make sure that they don't have any devices in private spaces. All of their device time is spent in a public space, outside in the living room, where anybody can walk by and see your screen at any time. I mean, now sometimes it gets a little loud, so we'll let them wear their headphones after we've already monitored what they've put on or are doing in there. And we do not allow them to be on social media at all, because they're all still under the legal age.
Right.
And I'm not sure yet if that's going to happen when that horse comes, but we will we will work at that if we need to. But they're on Roblox right now. And one of the things that I did with them is to make sure that they never accept any friend requests that are not by people we know.
And that was really hard because Jeremiah specifically, he's like, but I know them. I just met them. We've been playing a game together all day. I know them. And that was some language that we definitely had to.
Because it's a separation between IRL and in the video game. And so this is a really big other chunk that the kids don't have that. Yeah. They don't have a separation between real life and video games. Oftentimes we would get questions even during movies. Mom, is this real? Like, is this really happening? No, this is a cartoon. These are not humans. This is a fox talking, and this is not real. So we have to tell them, this is a real life experience. This is not a real life experience. And we are their conscience right now.
Right.
And we have to make sure that we're actively taking that role on and teaching them how to decipher the difference between real life and not real life.
So in order to do that, you had to take action.
I did. And I called out I started with my brother because he has 6 kids and I know they're on Roblox. So I asked my brother to connect with my kids. And that was exciting in and of itself because, hey, look, now my cousins get to play together. Right. And so,
We live in different states, so it's even a bigger deal. So it's not like they live down the street.
Right. And so that's where I started. And then I figured I would talk to my network of friends because I know I trust my friends. Right. And if they have kids on, then their kids will be trusted or trustworthy.
So that's pretty neat. And then the kids are like, who's that? And that's your friend from school. That's such and such's daughter or whatever it is. I don't want to say who's the name.
Right, yeah.
But it was a great way to immediately build up that contact list because kids want that contact list. Even if they're not playing with the kids, they just want to know that they're there.
Yeah.
So they are being groomed in those games to want to do social media and to be a social media influencer.
I also have a couple. This is just popped into my head. I also have a couple older kids who are kind of being like Big Brother monitors to the kids. So they're friends on Roblox too, and they come in and like check on them and things as well.
And those are people we know really well, so very well. Where was I?
Internet safety and things we've done with our kids.
I was going to say content creators on YouTube. Here we are creating content. One of the things I told my kids very, very early on was not every content creator has your best interest at heart. And we try to do things that, even with my other channel, we want to do positive things. So we kind of stay clear of the negativity. So we have content creators, whether we like them or not, that we have approved. So we have these approved lists. And there's some content creators that drive us insane. Their voices are just like,
The headphones go on a little bit faster when those are being watched.
But they know that they can say, you know what, there's this other one that popped up.
Yeah.
So can I watch this? And they'll say, is this something we can watch? Watching anything with your kid, no matter how inappropriate it is good because you can have the conversations. If you wait until your kid is in the midst of a crisis to have the conversation, that's a bad time to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not going to hear it. So it's much better for the kid to say, well, Puss in Boots. We're going to talk about Puss in Boots.
Okay.
Best movie of the year.
He's seen it twice. I've only seen it once.
Yes. Even the critical drinker said it was an awesome movie. He's like, they finally made a good movie. That movie was just a really good, wholesome movie with some really cool, awesome characters. I can't remember what I was talking about to mention Puss in Boots, but we got to talk about Puss in Boots because it's an old school story.
Yeah.
It doesn't take place in a world that I mean, it's funny because it's a fantasy world, but it doesn't take place in a world that can't exist. You can see these characters being real people in your life.
Because they're from different stories that are all coming together. It's the whole DreamWorks thing.
But it's a spin-off of a spin-off. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just it's a sequel to a spin-off. Yeah.
But the whole premise behind it, without giving it away, is there's a map that has a wishing star, and whoever holds the map gets these treacherous paths that they have to conquer, and it'll change. Like if I hold the map, I have to conquer childbirth. If Willie gets the map, he has to conquer
childbirth.
But I mean, it looks different.
Yeah, it's whatever you fear the most. So if you have fear, it's going to be very scary. But if you're not, we'll give away too much. That's what I was trying to get to. That character, there's a character in there that cusses. In the movie. But they bleep it out. And it is by far the funniest scene that you will ever see in a kid's movie. And the kids are cracking up, and we could be offended.
All it is a bunch of beep, beep,
it's
beep,
just
beep,
beeps.
beep, beep, beep.
But that's it. That's the extent of how...
It's the intent.
Yeah, and so the kids seen it. My son thinks it's the best movie ever because the dog says a bad word. We have no idea what the dog said, and I just gave away that, so unfortunately.
That's okay.
But it's well placed. And so many of the movies that we have now have things in them just to create shock or to have something to sell sex or whatever it is. This movie is just like a fantasy. I mean, it's like an old fairy tale with some dark elements. Definitely scary for the little kids. There's the villain in it. The wolf can be very scary. Just the way the soundtrack works with him.
He's made the way he's supposed to be.
Yeah,
he is. Death.
Yeah, he is the best villain in a cartoon that I've seen in a long time. It's a really good movie. Watch it with your spouse first, and then watch it with your kids. It'll be so much fun. Cool date night movie, and probably not a lot of good date night movies out there right now. So internet safety. We got off of internet safety because we went to Puss in Boots. I don't know how we got on Puss in Boots off of internet safety.
You wanted to say something because of the movie.
Yeah, I think that was it. It was the idea that he would say the cuss word and the kids could understand that. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be in your face. Social media is in your face and they're seeing these bad things.
Yeah.
And if we don't talk to our kids when their character talks about his life, the kids are like, oh, people have it rough, because I hate, I mean, it's been out for a while, but I mean, it's such a great movie. I don't want to give it away to you. And the character in the movie, the dog, I just love that dog. He's an amazing dog, and he does exactly what his life set him out to do. God put him in a very specific place, I say God, but he rocked it. He took his talents and he knocked it out of the park.
Well, God, there was a creator.
The creator of the thing. But that character knocked it out of the park. He took his talents and took them to the next level. And John Mulaney kind of creeped me out as the villain.
I think that was the point.
Yeah, that was the other villain. There's several villains in it. That's the great thing. There's so many different stories going on at the same time. So very fun date night and a very fun movie family night.
For a little bit older kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. So talking about internet, talking about safety. One of the important things I saw this on a show the other day, The Heartbeats. I can't remember the podcaster. If I can find it, I will link it. But he was talking about how the church uses music to unite our heartbeats. So that when we walk into the church, the music is there for no other reason than to get the congregation to be in sync.
Think about it in Gregorian chant.
Yes.
Benedictine chant. Everybody sings at the same time, at the same pace, and you breathe at the same time. It's ancient. Yeah.
And that brings us in line and in union with God. Whether that's in your Catholic church or if it's in your Protestant, whatever church you're in, when you unite your heartbeat with the rest of the congregation, then God can hear it. He said, whoever two or more are gathered in my name. Well, two or more are not gathered until their hearts are beating together.
This is true.
And that music...
Hold on. Say that again, because...
2 or more people are not gathered together until their hearts are beating together.
Because you can be in the same space and still have chaos.
Yes. That music in the church, that prayer, even that prayer, just to say the Our Father, brings us into this heartbeat together. When you allow your kids on the internet or you allow them on TikTok, they have this really erratic heartbeat because the algorithm, regardless of what it is going to send them something different. I mean, you go into any social media, you're going to see these algorithms, and they're going to make you feel good, they're going to make you feel sad, they're going to make you feel angry, they're going to make you feel all these different emotions, and you never get to just feel happy or even just feel sad. That's an okay emotion too.
Yeah.
Sometimes sadness, you just got to be sad. But if you're not allowed to be sad or you're not allowed to be happy, and you never get your heart in motion and in unity with someone else praying to God, you'll never find that entire sense of peace. That's what I get when I go into Mass, which is why the babies, they'll knock your heart off a rhythm because everybody else is and all of a sudden the kid screams and you're like, and so you have to get that rhythm back. But it's really easy when you're doing the prayers and you're doing that the repetition and stuff. So we do that with music. So make sure that what you're listening to is good. I like pop music for sure, especially from when I was growing up. I listen to it now. I can't believe how vulgar it is, but I enjoy listening to it in my headphones. But I've noticed as I've gotten older that when I listen to music, it helps me to do a task. If I'm going to chop a tree down, I'm listening to some of that stuff that's like really, louder music, intense. It's sometimes it's got cuss word. I'm doing it. If I'm building something and I want it to be beautiful, I'm probably listening to some country music. Right?
Yeah.
I'm listening to something calm.
Yep.
If I just need that peace, I'm throwing Gregorian chants. So music can get you into a rhythm.
That. Throwing Gregorian.
Throwing the Gregorian chants. That is the most peaceful way I can sleep. When I was a teenager and I was stressed out, I had the chant CD, and it's funny that I hang out with monks now because I groomed myself.
Link.
But I used to listen to them, and that brought me down and it brought me calm. And that's what the church can still do. And not all churches bring you calm. There's some pretty wild churches.
Yes.
Catholic
pretty
churches.
Crazy.
Yeah, even Catholic. I've walked into some and they're just...
But I mean, and that's awesome because at one point I lived in that and I needed that big high, all that.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Catholic Mass is exactly 59 minutes and 59 seconds. So as soon as
anything
when the side of the cross is complete, you hear the boom, boom, you hear the church bells go off. So the idea is once those church bells go off, everybody shut down. We were talking about the music in church.
Yeah. And music that you listen to and what you fill your head with. Yes, that's where we were at.
Yeah, so did you want to add anything to that?
Just surround yourself with the people you want to be.
Positive things. Positive everything.
Yeah. So. Don't hang out with people that you can handle. Surround yourself with people you want to be.
Like?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be anybody.
I am myself. I understand. But
I'm being very Catholic. I don't want to be a saint. I want to be saint-like.
I am a saint. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I want to be saint-like. What do you mean you're a saint? You're not a saint.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not. Mm-hmm. You got to have a hat to be a saint.
A hat?
Yeah, you got to have a hat, a staff. You got to be holding your eyeballs in your hand or something. Yeah, something bad has
Give it time.
Yeah, something bad has to happen to you to be a saint,
it just needs to be drawn, right?
I'm actually fishing for her to explain what she means why she's a saint, because she actually is.
We are all called to be saints on earth, and so in our actions, in our daily interactions with each other.
So how many kinds of saints are there?
There are 3 kinds of saints, right?
Yes, there are 3 kinds of saints. Yeah. So I think that's a racist gang symbol now. That I just
don't do that.
Yeah. It was the okay symbol.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. There's always something on some list somewhere. So FBI, CIA.
Look into that one.
I'm gonna put a picture up of the CIA thing that says, yeah. Anyway,
maybe we'll get a fact checker for our
somebody
station.
What were we talking about before I flashed the gang symbol?
How many saints there are?
Oh yeah, there's 3. 1, 2, 3. No gang symbols. There are 3 types of saints. One is the saint that you guys might have heard, the statues, the pictures, those kind of things. Those guys, those are the big saints. Those are like the ones that the church says, the Pope gets to say.
Through much research.
Yeah, through a lot of research. Gets to say, these guys are holy, and because of the way they live their life, the church says they are in heaven, and
these miracles have been attributed to them, and yes.
And it's okay for you to try to be like them. And they call it a cult. You can be a cult to them, because if you try to emulate them, you actually will be like them, which means you draw closer to God. So those are the saints that you see the pictures of, the Saint Anthony's and Saint Michael, all those big guys. Then there's the second saint. Go ahead.
The communion of saints are the people that we believe have lived holy lives and have died. And those are the ones that go up into heaven. Those are our communion of saints. Those are our grandparents that were teaching us about the faith. Those were our, really good examples of heavenly people.
Basically people that the Pope just didn't know. And the people didn't know. So more people are saints than the church says are saints. The majority of them are, because the majority of saints are just living their life in the everyday. If you're not living your life in the everyday and loving in the everyday, then you're not being saint-like. The people that we see, and they are great people. I am never going to badmouth a saint. I've learned my lesson.
He has. There's stories behind that.
Yeah, we'll go into that later. But don't question why a saint is a saint, because there's been so much that has gone into it. The research, they have basically, every bad thing that saint has ever done, they know. And they've said, that's still not bad enough. And it's pretty awesome. It's like a background check from heaven, because the church is going to say, this person is a saint. Now, we have some older saints that we don't think actually existed, like Saint Christopher, which the church says that the idea of Saint Christopher can still be venerated. So
much
there
more
was
of a myth than it is,
because they don't have
actual
bones
person.
And stuff like that. So there's not that evidence. But because the church has taken those evidence and that cause was so much, they said he could represent several different people and or just one person, and it might not have been Christopher. It may have been Christopher's family. Their entire tribe of people could have been this person. So
I want to look at something that you said a little bit back. You said don't question it, and I want to say that no, do question it. I dare you. Anybody that you question the sainthood of, look it up. I mean, do your research, because you will find the truth. You will find the answers. Look it up. If you anybody who comes to you,
you know what? This is a conversation. This is a conversation. Saint Gianna Molla, okay, pray for me. When she was first canonized, beautiful story. And I'll let Rachel tell you a little bit more about the story, but it didn't seem like a big deal to me. It just seemed like someone being someone, just someone living their life normally. And so every time she would come up, I would just kind of like, and I would get hurt. Like, I don't believe in like superstitions and stuff, but I would burn myself with a candle as we're doing prayer, or I'd drop something. And Rachel would make the joke, oh, St. Gianna doesn't like that, And I was like, that's not the way it works. But as time has gone on, I've really learned to love St. Gianna. If you look at her story, the beauty in her sacrifice is her humanity. And it's that facing death and being a mom. That's what she chose. She chose motherhood. And it's no different than what Mary chose. So if we can honor this woman who chose motherhood on a much bigger scale, we have to honor every woman that chooses motherhood.
Agreed.
And this is someone, and I'll let you go into her story. If you want to just give it a brief
story.
Just, because I know you can talk about it for hours. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Gianna Molla was a Italian OBGYN, what would be considered an OBGYN today. And she lived I'm really bad with dates and numbers and times like that, but she lived, I think, back in the 1940s.
Her husband's still alive, correct?
Her daughter is
Her
still
daughter's
alive.
still alive. Okay.
Yes. Her daughter's rather old too. I think she's in her 80s. But she died during childbirth. Backtrack. So she is an Italian women's doctor who has done multiple births over many years, and she has been told with this pregnancy that she would die if she brought it to completion. And so her options were keep the baby, keep my life. And she said, I'm keeping this baby. She knew the entire time that the implications were bad, and her faith and her devotion kept her through the childbirth. And now this child is still out there speaking about her mother, who gave her life at childbirth.
Any woman dying during childbirth is tragic. Someone knowing and facing it and saying, it's me or that or the baby, it's beautiful. I was just saying that. I said every childbirth is beautiful.
Yes, and it's a choice.
I feel like people think that the Catholic Church doesn't care about the moms, and we do. Mm-hmm. Protecting babies from being killed in the womb for medical reasons or for birth control or whatever that is. There's just no higher calling. Not only protecting them, but protecting our elderly too. And it seems like our society has gotten to the point where if you don't have immediate value, then you're worthless.
Right.
So children, really small children, worthless. Our elderly, worthless. Someone who has a disability or mental disease, just worthless, and they kind of push them off to the far corners of the world. And this is the only place I know where they're welcome. Yeah. Doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, you're welcome. Mm-hmm.
So how do we...
St. Giada Mola. I don't have to hurt anymore.
Yeah, it only took like 2 times, right? Then you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. You're cool. So, yeah, if a saint can provide a miracle, they can provide a little nudge in the right direction. I never really got hurt.
Tony does it all the time, doesn't he?
Yeah. So if you, Saint Anthony of Padua, which you can visit here in our reliquary, is the patron saint of lost things. So
poor guy.
Every Catholic in the world, whenever they lose their car keys or their wallet or their cell phone, are asking this guy to help them find things. Because they don't want to bother Jesus with looking for their cell phone. They're like, hey, Tony, I want to save the big things for Jesus, right? So I was just like, I don't want to be a saint, and I'll end up having to look for somebody's car keys or something. I was like, he really drew the short straw.
The last communion of saints is the ones that are on earth.
Yeah. The ones living life right now. You. Us.
Yeah.
Sometimes we screw up. The cool thing about saints is they're actually sinners too.
I like to think that our halos just get more and more shiny.
Yeah.
As we
sinners
enter heaven, like hopefully. I want to work on shining my halo.
I want to be one of those saints that get to be a saint because they're despite themselves. So St. Ignatius of Loyola, he was so arrogant, but just in spite of himself, he became a saint. That's the kind of saint I want to be. And to do that, you have to be intentional. And it's hard.
Well, he was the one that said, I'm going to be a saint.
Yeah, he did. He said, he's I'm going to be a saint. I'm going to be one of those best, because that's easy. Oh, St. Ignatius is one of my favorite saints because he was arrogant. And when I was younger, I was a little arrogant when I was in high school. My friends would probably agree. But
because you used to, what did you do? Why would they agree? Saying you were arrogant. You used to give out T-shirts.
Yeah, well,
Go ahead.
I at one time in high school, I sold 250 T-shirts to my high school, just random kids, and they had it said Teens Against Abortion on it, and on the back it said at conception the choice was made, and all the kids wore it was pretty cool.
250 kids.
It's public school.
in
1995, somewhere around there. Yeah. So abortion was an issue back then. So I've been fighting it for a minute. So, and that wasn't all boys. That was a lot of girls. So I was always like trying to be better.
Yeah.
And Ignatius was a soldier. And when I decided to join as a military guy, a lot of guys were looking at St. Michael, because St. Michael is the patron of soldiers and paratroopers. St. Christopher was one, but St. Ignatius was a little less known army saint. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, I'm going to study St. Ignatius. So I did, and St. Ignatius was a guy who liked girls. He was a ladies' man, and
vain,
very vain. He had his beard was nice and trimmed and really pretty. His clothes were perfect, and he wore the tights.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when the men wore the tights. And
back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. I mean, I guess men were wearing tights again. But those white tights, that show everything. Like women won't even wear them unless they shave before they wear them, because men had to shave their legs back then to wear those tights. So Ignatius probably shaved his legs. Yeah, Jesuits, you're gonna be mad at me for calling you out, but yeah, I would say Ignatius probably shaved his legs, and that's a good thing, because
he did have that infection.
Well, it was caused on the battlefield. He was hit by a cannonball.
Yeah.
Jacked his leg up, but he survived. They got it all patched up, and when he went to put his tights on, you could still see the knot. The bone was kind of sticking out a little bit, and it was just a really poor job. So
his leg looked funky in the tights.
And he didn't like the way they looked. So he's like, no, doc, we're going to break that. We're going to shave it off. We're going to seal it back up, because when I put my tights on, I need to have it nice and smooth. So he does that, and this is before anesthesia. So he does this, and his mom, I think it was his mom, knowing how crazy this guy is, brought him some books at his request, because he was a reader like me. And she brought him two. She brought him the Bible and the Lives of the Saints. And after reading the Lives of the Saints, he said, that's easy. I can follow this God guy. I'm going to be a saint. And so he read the Lives of the Saints and said, that's possible. And for me, that was the first saint that I ever read about that said, oh yeah, this life is possible. You just have to put your mind to it. And coming from someone who just went and did something as vain as tearing their leg up, the cool thing is he goes on to be a priest. So the woman thing, just gone, because he said there's something greater, something bigger. And when you see these Jesuits running around, our Holy Father right now happens to be one. There's some pretty cool cats that came from one guy being arrogant enough to be like, I can do that.
Yeah.
So you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
We can all do it.
Me saying that has gotten me down some wonderful paths.
Well, until next time.
Until next time.
Work hard.
So,
the joke.
Yeah.
The joke.
Why did the pilot decide to retire?
Why did the pilot decide to retire?
You'll like this one, Okies. Because it was too Boeing.
Oh, Boeing. Shout out to a lot of good friends that we have that work at Boeing and Northrop Grumman and all those places here in Oklahoma. They're busy right now. So until next time, work hard.
Be kind.
Have fun.
The Uncanny Catholic is the proud sponsor of Oblivious Oblates. Sainthood, the choice of a new generation. Be proud to be called to holiness.
Look at high school. Let's try again. I might just do this again.
Be proud to be called to holiness.
Hey! Go! Read that!
The Uncanny Catholic is a proud sponsor of Oblivious Oblates. With this shirt, you too can pronounce...
This is the best ad read ever.
You too can pronounce your sainthood and be the choice of a new generation. Be proud to be called to holiness.
Go.
I got through it.
One more time.
All right. Hey, our friends over at the Uncanny Catholic are really proud to sponsor us. And they got us these shirts like we've been shouting out through the other episodes. And we just wanted to give you the link. So make sure you go and order your shirt so you can be proud to be called to holiness as well.